In this video, we'll talk about some of the practical issues that you should consider when planning your next international trip.
We also put together a checklist for tasks to complete before hitting the road that include many of these issues, along with some initial packing suggestions. You can download that checklist as a document file and add your own items. Use the link in the video description below.
If you have a passport, make sure that the expiration date is at least 6 months past your departure date. Many countries will not allow you to enter if you have less than 6 months remaining. If you don't have your passport yet, get started as early as possible on obtaining one. It can take a while, especially as travel season approaches, and especially if you need to use that passport to apply for a visa to your destination.
The term 89 days away in our channel title refers to the 3-month limit on visits to the Schengen zone in the EU for persons without residency permits. U.S. travelers can stay in the Schengen zone for up to 3 months, and then you must leave the Schengen zone for 3 months before you are allowed to re-enter. This is called the Schengen 90-180 rule. Other countries allow longer visitor stays, like 6 months in Great Britain or Mexico. Some countries will require visas to visit that you need to obtain prior to your trip. So be sure to do your research to see how long you can stay and what permissions are required to be allowed to enter your destinations. You'll need to apply for residency visas to stay in these countries for longer periods, but that requires a commitment to become a regular tax-paying resident of that country, which means navigating a foreign bureaucracy with complicated rules for new residents, filling out forms, opening a bank account, getting health insurance, a new driver's license, and paying lots of fees, and being subject to the tax regime of the country. So before you commit to a permanent move, it's a good idea to visit the country and stay for a few months to get to know the place and then decide if you like it enough to become a resident.
Check to see if there are any vaccinations required to enter the countries on your itinerary. Some countries may require vaccinations for things like yellow fever and have recommendations for others. You can easily find this information online. And prior to traveling, pay attention to any new requirements, like vaccines for things like COVID.
If you're planning to travel out of the country at least once a year, apply for the Global Entry Program. You will really appreciate how it speeds you through customs at the end of an 8-hour flight. It also gives you TSA pre-check status when flying in the US, which will speed you through security. The program lasts 5 years and is way worth the cost.
Make sure that you have a credit card that's designed for travel and foreign transactions. These cards provide no foreign transaction fees and better currency conversion rates. We use a Chase Sapphire Reserve travel card that also pays for global entry and gives you extra points for travel purchases and has other benefits for travelers, such as a range of travel insurance coverages that includes great collision damage waivers for rental cars. These types of cards may also give you access to airport lounges via a Priority Pass membership or other program. The lounges are a great benefit, especially if you have a layover, but in many of the major airports at prime time, the lounges are often full, so don't count on being able to get in. If you're going to be traveling regularly, sign up for the loyalty programs from the airlines and lodgings you're going to be using. You may end up getting some benefits that could be useful.
Also, check with your bank to be sure that you can access cash through an ATM in your destination, and set up autopay for your ongoing bills in case you can't gain access to generate payments manually online.
Having a smartphone with a cellular plan for accessing the internet is critical. You can go a number of ways with this. Using your US cell plan means that you can receive texts and calls from the US, and you'll be able to access websites that have two-factor authentication, such as bank sites that send you a code to enter when you try to log in. Being unable to log into an important website can become a real problem if you need to take care of issues while overseas. Many US cell plans have an international roaming fee of about $10 a day, which can add up if you're overseas for more than a week or so. We use Google Fi as our carrier with an unlimited plan that includes coverage outside of the US for up to about 3 months with no additional fees. That's worked out great for us. We can receive and send calls from our US number anywhere we go, and we can do the two-factor authentications. Another option is to get a prepaid SIM card that works at your destination that'll give you internet access and a mobile phone number that's local to the country. If you take that route, you can order a card from Amazon prior to leaving so you can be ready once you arrive, or you can buy a card from a local communication store after you get in. You can forward calls from your US number to that EU phone number. Before you take that route though, make sure your phone is unlocked and will allow you to use a SIM or eSIM from another carrier. You may also want to try switching between your US SIM and a foreign SIM that will allow you to access data without using the US carrier. Many newer phones allow you to have multiple SIMs installed and switch between them as needed. If you're using a US carrier that charges by the day, you can turn off that SIM and only activate it when you need it, and use a foreign SIM for internet access the rest of the time. If you're using Google Fi, you may be able to get past the 3-month limitation by only switching to Fi when you need to access your US number.
Whatever route you take, it's a good idea to get yourself an app such as WhatsApp or Google Voice that will allow you to send and receive calls and messages from home without making a long-distance call using the cell system in the foreign country, which can add up if you need to keep in touch with friends and work while overseas. WhatsApp was incredibly useful to us for video calls and maintaining ongoing contact with friends and family from anywhere in the world. And you can forward your US calls to a Google Voice number and receive those calls anywhere in the world. Check with your health insurance carrier to see what coverage you have for an overseas trip. You're likely covered for emergency care. If not, you can purchase travel health insurance separately, but make sure that you apply in advance to give yourself enough time for approvals. If you have non-emergency health issues while traveling, you can try seeing a local physician, most likely for a much lower cost than in the US, depending on the country. And if a health issue becomes more serious, you can always cut your trip short and catch a flight home to see your doctors. When we were traveling during COVID, we were worried about medical care and bought a yearly MedJet Assist family plan that provided emergency evacuation to a US medical facility in the event one of us fell very, very ill. And remember that if you take any medications, be sure to stock up on them in advance so that you have a sufficient supply for your trip. Your doctor or insurance company may need to get involved for approvals if you need to get several months of medications in advance.
If you have a home that you'll be leaving vacant for a few months, you should do some preparation to ensure that it's secure. Determine how your paper mail is going to be handled. You can arrange for friends or family to pick up your mail every few days, which may end up becoming a burden for them after a few weeks. The US Postal Service will also stop delivery and hold your mail for up to 30 days, and then deliver once you return. For periods longer than 30 days, the post office can forward your mail to another location that you identify for up to 6 months. That can be to a family member or a friend, or you can forward your mail to a commercial mailbox service. We use a commercial service that charges about $20 a month and emails you scans of the envelopes so you can see if there's anything important that you need to address. They can also open the envelopes and scan the contents at your request, and forward your paper mail to anywhere in the world if you need to receive it in a hurry. And for those of you who are thinking about becoming full-time expats or don't plan to maintain a home in the US, these services can also help you establish state residency, even if you don't maintain a physical home in the state. The service we use can help you establish a residency in Florida, which has no state income tax, which may help pay for part of your travels. Plan for ongoing house and lawn maintenance. Identify areas inside and outside of your house that require attention, such as cutting and raking your lawn, watering plants, keeping the exterior looking orderly. Start early when doing this because it may be difficult to find someone. Pets can be a deal breaker. You can look at taking your dog and cat with you, but that can be complicated, expensive, and traumatic for the animal. We've got a small dog that we have to factor into our plans, but we're lucky that we have relatives who are willing to adopt her for a few months while we're away. We're considering taking her along on an upcoming trip. We'll let you know how that works out if we do it. Home security is also a big concern. Look into how you can help ensure your home security needs while you're away. You may want to move some higher value items to another location, like a relative's house or storage space, if you're going to be away for a few months. Maybe sign up for an alarm service. We live in a condo, so we bought a number of $20 video cameras from Amazon that connect to the web and use an app that alerts us to any motion, and we place those in multiple rooms. It was reassuring to be able to use our phones to check the cameras and confirm that the condo was secure. We also connect some lights to timers and make it look like someone's home. And you need to identify a secure place to park your vehicles. Maybe you can park them in your driveway to make it look like there's someone at home. We've parked our cars at relatives' houses. We got a storage facility, indoor garage one time that cost about $100 a month. Those worked fine for us. And do some online research to see if there's any steps you should take to maintain your cars when they're not being used, or if it's over the winter season or something like that. Because if the car sits for a while, there could be issues.
Some people arrange for house sitters to stay at their house while they're away and take care of pets and other small maintenance tasks. There are some online services that match house sitters with travelers. Becoming a house sitter yourself may also be an option if you're seeking to minimize your costs for lodging. We haven't tried this ourselves at this point, but the idea looks pretty cool. So if you're still watching at this point, you may be interested in our travel to-do and packing checklist, which you can download from the link in the description below. The file's in a document format that you can open and edit to add your own items. We'd also love your feedback on the list. Please let us know in the comments of any items we should add, and we'll update it.
And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We'll post part 2 soon. Thanks for watching.